A guard's secret report reaches Kate. Charlotte's name changes everything. Best emotional story. She worked at the municipal office in her small town, handling paperwork, helping people with their concerns, and occasionally filing reports that no one else wanted to touch. Most of her days were predictable. Routine phone calls, stacks of forms, and the soft ticking of the clock on her office wall. Yet even in her ordinary life, Kate carried small pockets of memories that often made her pause. Memories of childhood laughter, of a sister she barely remembered, and of a family secret she never fully understood. It was a rainy Thursday afternoon when the unexpected arrived. The sky had turned a pale gray, the kind that drapes a quiet melancholy over the town. Kate sat at her desk, idly organizing some files, her mug of tea sending small steam spirals into the air. A knock at the door interrupted her thoughts. A courier stood there holding a plain, brown envelope. There was no return address, no stamp, nothing to hint at who had sent it. "This is for you," the courier said briefly, his voice low, almost as if he too sensed the weight of the envelope. Kate nodded, signed the delivery slip, and watched him leave. She turned the envelope in her hands, noticing its unusual thickness and the faint smell of old paper. Her curiosity piqued. She carefully tore it open. Inside, she found a neatly typed report bound by a simple black paperclip. The report's title caught her eye immediately: Confidential Report. Charlotte W. Kate froze. The name struck something deep inside her, a memory, a feeling she couldn't quite place. Charlotte. It had been years since she last thought about that name, years since she had tried to suppress the ache it brought. Her hands trembled slightly as she began to read. The report was written by someone who identified themselves only as a former prison guard. The details were precise, almost clinical, describing events from years ago, cases Kate had only ever heard about in the distant news. But then there it was, Charlotte's name, appearing in a section of the report that detailed a transfer between facilities, notes about her behavior, and certain incidents that no one else seemed to know about. As Kate read, she realized that this was not just a report about a stranger. The Charlotte mentioned in the report might be the sister she had believed lost to the world long ago. Her mind raced. Could it be her? Could the sister she remembered from childhood, her quiet, thoughtful younger sibling, be the same Charlotte whose name now appeared in a prison report? The thought was both terrifying and impossible to ignore. Kate put the report down for a moment, staring out of her office window at the rain. The droplets ran down the glass, blurred the world outside, and mirrored the confusion swirling inside her. Kate's life had always been orderly. She liked it that way. But this report had opened a door she didn't even know existed, and behind it lay answers, and possibly pain, she wasn't sure she was ready for. Yet she could not stop herself. The pull of the truth was stronger than her fear. She picked the report back up, scanning the pages carefully. The guard's writing was meticulous. Each line described Charlotte with a mixture of respect and caution. He noted her intelligence, her resilience, and the quiet strength she displayed even in difficult circumstances. But there were also mentions of struggles, moments when Charlotte had been alone, confused, and vulnerable. Kate felt a sharp pang in her chest. These words described someone she had known in fragments, someone she had once loved deeply, even if memories of her were faint and scattered. As she read, memories began to resurface. She remembered her sister's small hands, the way she had loved to draw, the night they had built a makeshift fort in the living room and shared stories until their parents called them to bed. Those memories were like fragile glass, beautiful but easily shattered by time and absence. And now, decades later, a stranger's report was shattering that glass, revealing pieces of a life she had never fully understood. Kate felt a mix of emotions, confusion, fear, and a strange glimmer of hope. She wondered why no one had told her the truth before. Why had Charlotte's fate been hidden? Why had the world allowed her sister to disappear into obscurity? These questions pounded in her mind as she flipped through the pages. Each paragraph added another layer to her understanding, painting a picture of Charlotte's life that was far more complex and challenging than Kate could have imagined. The report mentioned names, dates, and places Kate didn't immediately recognize, but one detail stood out: the mention of a transfer to a facility in a neighboring state, a place Kate had never visited. The guard had included observations about Charlotte's interactions, her quiet courage, and her subtle ways of caring for others even in a harsh environment. Kate felt a lump in her throat. How had Charlotte survived all of this? How had she endured the loneliness and struggle without anyone to guide her? For the first time in years, Kate allowed herself to cry. Not loudly, not dramatically, but quietly, the kind of soft tears that came from deep within, from memories and realizations that had been buried too long. She realized that this report was more than information. It was a key. A key to the past she had tried to forget, and to a sister she had hoped she might one day find again. But along with the hope came fear. The report warned of the risks involved in reaching out, the need for caution, and the importance of discretion. Kate knew that whatever steps she took next, they had to be measured and careful. This was not just about reconnecting. It was about ensuring Charlotte's safety and well-being, something Kate felt a deep responsibility for. Hours passed as Kate sat at her desk, the rain continuing to fall outside. She reread the report, highlighting sections, making notes, and writing questions she needed to answer. She thought about her childhood home, her parents, and the fragmented family she had once known. She wondered how Charlotte had felt, growing up separated from her family, facing challenges Kate could barely imagine. Each thought brought a new wave of emotion, sadness, regret, love, and a determination she hadn't felt in years. By evening, the office had emptied. The fluorescent lights cast long shadows across the room, and the soft hum of the heater was the only sound. Kate sat in silence, holding the report in her hands. She knew her life had changed in an instant. That plain brown envelope, dropped into her hands on a rainy Thursday, had set into motion events she could not yet foresee. The past, long buried and hidden, was reaching out to her, and she had no choice but to respond. Finally, she made a decision. She would find Charlotte, not recklessly, not impulsively, but carefully, with thought and planning. The guard's report had given her the name, the clues, and a sense of Charlotte's strength. Now it was up to Kate to take the next steps, to bridge the gap that time and circumstances had created, and to uncover the truth fully. As she left the office that night, the rain had stopped, and the town was bathed in a soft twilight glow. Kate clutched the report to her chest, feeling both the weight of the past and the hope of what was to come. She knew that the journey ahead would not be easy, that there would be challenges, doubts, and moments of fear. But for the first time in years, she also felt a spark of something she hadn't felt in a long time: possibility. Possibility that her sister was still out there. Possibility that their lives could reconnect. And possibility that one day they might find a way to heal together. After the events of that rainy Thursday, Kate could not sleep. The report still lay open on her dining table, its words echoing in her mind. Every detail about Charlotte's life made her heart ache. How her sister had been alone, moved from place to place, facing hardships without anyone to guide her. Kate replayed memories of their childhood, trying to recall every small detail about Charlotte. The way she laughed, the books she loved, the secret notes she would hide in Kate's drawer. Those memories were fragments, but they were enough to ignite a deep determination inside Kate. She knew she had to find Charlotte and understand what had happened all these years. The next morning, Kate returned to the report with a clearer mind. She started by carefully noting every detail that could help her trace Charlotte's location. There were mentions of facilities, dates, names of social workers, and a few hints about towns Charlotte had lived in. Kate made a large map on a piece of paper, marking all the places mentioned in the report. Each pin on the map was like a tiny clue, a breadcrumb leading her toward her sister. She felt a mix of hope and anxiety. The closer she got to Charlotte, the more intense her emotions became. Kate realized that she could not do this alone. She needed help, but she also needed someone she could trust completely. After thinking carefully, she reached out to an old friend, Sarah, who had always been supportive and wise. Sarah listened patiently as Kate explained the situation, describing the report and her suspicions that Charlotte might be her long-lost sister. "I'll help you," Sarah said without hesitation. "But we have to be careful. We don't know what kind of danger or complications might exist. This has to be done quietly and thoughtfully." Kate felt a wave of relief. Having someone by her side made the task seem possible. Over the next few days, the two of them started digging deeper. They contacted a few private investigators, people who specialized in finding individuals while keeping their identity protected. Kate explained that she wanted to locate her sister safely and make sure she was not disturbed by anyone else in her past. The investigator they chose, Mr. Reynolds, was discreet, professional, and highly experienced. As Mr. Reynolds began his work, Kate spent her time preparing herself emotionally. She reread every line of the report, making notes and highlighting details about Charlotte's personality, her resilience, and her quiet courage. It was almost as if she were trying to know her sister again through the words of someone who had observed her closely. Kate realized that even after all these years, Charlotte was still the same person in many ways, strong, intelligent, and thoughtful, but life had changed her. Kate also thought about the years they had lost. She remembered how their parents had passed away when Charlotte was very young. The pain of that loss had forced the family apart, sending Charlotte to live with distant relatives and foster families. Kate had grown up with fragments of letters, occasional photos, and stories that never gave her the full picture. Now, she understood that the world had kept Charlotte's life hidden for reasons beyond her control. And yet, the sense of separation weighed heavily on Kate's heart. Days turned into weeks, and the tension in Kate's life grew. Every phone call, every email from Mr. Reynolds made her heart race. Finally, the investigator contacted her with promising news. He had found a lead, a social worker who had worked with Charlotte several years ago and might still have information about her current whereabouts. Kate's hands trembled as she listened to the details. The social worker was cautious, but willing to provide limited information under strict privacy conditions. Kate realized the next steps would require patience and sensitivity. While waiting for further information, Kate reflected on her feelings. She felt guilt for being apart from Charlotte for so long, even though it had not been her choice. She felt anger toward the system that had hidden the truth and fear of what she might discover. But more than anything, she felt hope, a quiet, growing hope that her sister was still out there, that Charlotte might remember her as well, and that they could reconnect. Kate's memories often returned to childhood moments she had shared with Charlotte. She remembered how Charlotte would spend hours drawing in her little notebook, creating stories about imaginary worlds. She remembered the games they played, the secrets they whispered at night, and the way Charlotte always knew how to make Kate laugh, even on the darkest days. Those memories became a source of strength for Kate, a reminder that the bond between sisters could never be broken, no matter the years of separation. When Kate finally spoke to the social worker, she was careful not to reveal too much too quickly. She explained that she was looking for someone who had been part of her family in the past, someone who might still need support and care. The social worker responded with compassion, but emphasized the importance of respecting Charlotte's privacy. Kate understood she did not want to cause her sister any harm or distress. She promised to proceed cautiously and awaited the next step. In the following days, Kate received updates from Mr. Reynolds. Charlotte had moved to a nearby city, living quietly and keeping her life private. The investigator had also confirmed that Charlotte was aware of her past, but she had chosen to focus on building her own life. Kate realized that approaching her sister would require not only caution, but empathy. She needed to ensure that Charlotte felt safe and ready to reconnect. Kate spent hours thinking about how she would approach the reunion. She wrote letters she never sent, imagining the words she would say and the emotions she would feel. She practiced patience, knowing that rushing into the situation could scare Charlotte away. Every plan she made included respect for her sister's boundaries, her fears, and her own feelings. It was a delicate balance between hope and caution, desire and respect. During this time, Kate also reflected on her own life and the choices she had made. She thought about the friends she had kept, the work she loved, and the routines that had given her comfort. Yet she realized that nothing in her ordinary life compared to the extraordinary journey she was about to undertake, the journey to reconnect with a sister she had thought was lost forever. That realization gave her both courage and determination. Kate also shared parts of the story with Sarah, who became her emotional anchor. They talked about the challenges Charlotte might have faced, the strength she must have developed, and the fear she might feel when confronted with the past. Sarah's perspective helped Kate prepare not just logistically, but emotionally. She began to understand that reconnecting with Charlotte would not only be about uncovering the past, but also about creating a future together. As the days passed, Kate could feel her anticipation growing. Every phone call from the investigator, every detail she received, made the possibility of meeting Charlotte more real. She imagined the moment they would finally see each other, The hesitation, the recognition, the tears, and perhaps the laughter. She knew it would be emotional, overwhelming, and life-changing. One evening, as Kate sat by the window, watching the sun set over the city, she allowed herself a quiet moment of reflection. She thought about the years they had lost, the pain they had both endured, and the bond that had never truly been broken. She whispered Charlotte's name softly, feeling a strange mixture of sorrow and hope. It was a name that carried the weight of the past and the promise of the future. Finally, the day came when Mr. Reynolds provided a detailed plan for the first contact. He had confirmed Charlotte's address and suggested a safe, respectful approach. A letter explaining who Kate was, her connection to Charlotte, and her desire to reconnect if Charlotte felt ready. Kate read the letter over and over, carefully choosing every word, every phrase, making sure it conveyed love, honesty, and respect. That night, Kate placed the letter in an envelope, addressing it with trembling hands. She felt a surge of emotions, fear, excitement, and a deep longing. She realized that this single action could change both of their lives forever. The letter was more than a message. It was a bridge between the past and the future, between two sisters separated by circumstance but bound by love. As she mailed the letter, Kate felt a mixture of relief and anxiety. She knew the journey was far from over, but taking the first step had given her hope. She spent the rest of the evening reflecting on the past, thinking about Charlotte, and imagining the moment when her sister might finally respond. In her heart, she carried a quiet confidence that, no matter the outcome, their bond had endured, and the possibility of reunion was real. That night, as Kate lay in bed, she whispered a silent prayer, not just for herself, but for Charlotte. She hoped her sister would feel safe, loved, and ready to embrace the past. She hoped that the years of separation could be overcome and that they could finally begin to heal together. And as she drifted into a restless but hopeful sleep, she knew that her life and Charlotte's was on the verge of an incredible, emotional journey. Days turned into weeks after Kate had sent the carefully written letter to Charlotte. Each day was filled with a strange mixture of hope and anxiety. Kate went about her daily routine at the municipal office, yet her mind was never truly at work. Every sound of the mail slot, every phone call, made her heart skip a beat. She wondered constantly, would Charlotte respond? Would she even want to meet? Was it possible that after all these years of separation, her sister would be willing to open the door to her past? Kate tried to distract herself with small tasks. She organized files, helped citizens with forms, and even baked cookies to lift her spirits. But nothing truly took her mind off Charlotte. Memories of their childhood kept returning. She recalled the tiny wooden swings in their backyard, the way Charlotte's hair shimmered in sunlight, and the quiet evenings they had spent whispering dreams and fears to each other. Those memories had been tucked away for so long, but now they felt vivid and alive. Kate realized how much she had missed her sister, not just in a distant, imagined way, but in the deep, essential way that only family can be missed. Kate's friend Sarah continued to support her through every anxious moment. They spoke on the phone for hours, discussing strategies and emotions, reflecting on Kate's memories of Charlotte, and imagining the sister she had never truly known. Sarah reminded Kate gently that while hope was important, patience was equally necessary. She cautioned against rushing, reminding Kate that Charlotte's past had been difficult and that rebuilding trust would take time. Kate appreciated Sarah's guidance, though it sometimes felt impossible to wait. Her longing for connection with Charlotte was urgent and intense. One afternoon, Kate received a message from the private investigator, Mr. Reynolds. He had good news. Charlotte had received the letter. She had read it carefully, and although she had not yet responded directly, she had expressed interest in learning more about Kate. The investigator emphasized that Charlotte remained cautious and understandably wary, given the years of separation and the life she had built independently. Kate's heart swelled with hope, but at the same time, a wave of nerves washed over her. The next step would require both sensitivity and patience. Kate spent hours preparing for any eventuality. She thought about what she might say, how she might present herself, and the emotions that could surface during a first meeting. She wrote drafts of letters that she might send in the future, imagining the words that could express her love, regret, and longing. Yet she knew that no matter how carefully she prepared, nothing could truly capture the depth of the emotions she felt. She had to be ready for Charlotte's feelings, whatever they might be, and for the possibility that her sister might need more time before responding fully. During this period, Kate began to notice a subtle change in herself. Her daily routine at the office, once predictable and comforting, felt suddenly smaller and limited. Her thoughts were consumed by Charlotte, by the sister she had lost and was now slowly finding again. Even her interactions with colleagues seemed different. Her laughter felt quieter, and her focus was often distracted. Yet, despite the unease, Kate felt alive in a way she had not for many years. The prospect of reconnecting with Charlotte brought both vulnerability and a renewed sense of purpose. One quiet evening, Kate received a call from Mr. Reynolds with specific instructions. Charlotte had agreed to meet, but only under certain conditions. The meeting would be in a neutral location, somewhere safe and private, to ensure that neither of them felt pressured or threatened. Kate's hands trembled as she took in the details. This was it, the moment she had waited for, though it had been months in the making. She felt a mixture of exhilaration and fear. What would Charlotte think of her? Would she remember the childhood they had shared? Could their bond be rekindled after so many years apart? Kate prepared carefully for the meeting. She chose simple, comfortable clothing, wanting to appear approachable and calm. She practiced speaking with honesty and warmth, thinking about the words that would help Charlotte feel safe. More than anything, she reminded herself to listen, truly listen, to whatever Charlotte had to say. She understood that this was not about her expectations or desires alone. It was about honoring her sister's feelings and giving her the space to process the emotions that would inevitably surface. On the day of the meeting, Kate arrived early at the cafe that had been chosen as the neutral location. She chose a quiet table by the window, her hands nervously clutching a small notebook in which she had written reminders, memories, and questions she wanted to ask. She felt her heart pounding in her chest, each beat echoing the anticipation and anxiety she had carried for so long. She looked at the empty chairs around her, wondering how long it would take before Charlotte arrived, how she would recognize her, and whether the first words would be filled with tears, laughter, or silence. Finally, the door opened, and Kate saw her sister for the first time in years. Charlotte's appearance had changed with time, yet certain features remained unmistakable: the tilt of her head, the way she held herself, and the depth in her eyes. Kate felt a rush of emotion so strong that it brought tears to her eyes. She stood slowly, unsure of what to do first, wanting to bridge the gap of years with a gesture of love and recognition. Charlotte, cautious but curious, approached the table, her expression a mixture of nervousness and hope. The first moments were quiet. Neither sister spoke immediately, allowing the presence of the other to settle around them. Kate reached out tentatively, offering a gentle smile, and Charlotte responded with a hesitant but genuine one. Slowly, they began to talk, their conversation starting with small details: how they had been, where they had lived, and what their lives had looked like. The dialogue was careful, measured, and yet beneath it ran a current of deep, unspoken emotion. As the conversation continued, memories began to surface. Kate spoke of childhood games, shared secrets, and simple joys that had once bound them together. Charlotte listened, her eyes reflecting recognition, surprise, and longing. She, too, shared fragments of her life, years spent alone, challenges she had faced, and moments of fear and loneliness. The sisters laughed at familiar memories and wept over the lost years, each emotion bringing them closer together. Despite the years of separation, the bond between them began to show its resilience. Kate realized that love and family connection could endure even the longest absences. She felt an overwhelming sense of relief and gratitude that Charlotte was willing to share her story, to allow herself to be vulnerable, and to open the door to a relationship that had once seemed impossible. Throughout the meeting, Kate remained mindful of Charlotte's boundaries. She asked questions gently, allowing her sister to share only what she felt comfortable revealing. She listened intently, validating Charlotte's experiences and offering empathy. It was a delicate balance, honoring the pain of the past while fostering the possibility of a hopeful future. By the end of the meeting, both sisters felt a mixture of exhaustion and exhilaration. They had confronted years of separation, shared truths that had been hidden, and begun to understand each other in ways they never had before. As they parted, there was a quiet promise, a mutual understanding that this was only the beginning. They would continue to communicate, to rebuild trust, and to explore the connection that had endured despite time, distance, and hardship. Kate left the cafe with a sense of fulfillment and hope. The journey had been emotional, challenging, and deeply moving, but it had also been transformative. She realized that reconnecting with Charlotte was not just about reclaiming lost years. It was about creating a future together, one built on honesty, love, and shared understanding. The sisters had found each other again, and with that rediscovery came a sense of purpose and renewed strength for both of them. In the following days, Kate and Charlotte continued to correspond, each message deepening their understanding of one another. They shared small details of daily life, cherished memories, and hopes for the future. Kate felt a profound sense of gratitude for the opportunity to reconnect, and she knew that the challenges of the past had made this reunion all the more meaningful. Kate also reflected on her own growth through this process. She had learned patience, empathy, and the power of love that endures across time. She recognized that reconnecting with Charlotte was not just about discovering the past. It was about embracing the present and preparing for a future where they could support, care for, and understand each other fully. Through the emotional journey of Part 3, Kate realized that life's unexpected moments, the mysterious letter, the guard's report, and the careful guidance of friends, could lead to profound transformation. She understood that while the past could not be changed, the future could be shaped through intentional, compassionate choices. And as she looked forward, she felt a quiet certainty that the bond between her and Charlotte, though tested by time and circumstance, was unbreakable. Kate had thought the hardest part was waiting, but she soon realized that meeting Charlotte was only the beginning of their emotional journey. After the first meeting at the cafe, both sisters were eager to reconnect but also cautious. Each conversation was filled with care, respect, and the unspoken acknowledgement of years lost. Kate knew that rebuilding trust would take time. Charlotte had built a life on her own, and Kate needed to honor that while slowly weaving herself back into her sister's world. For the first few weeks, their communication was mainly through letters and phone calls. Kate shared stories of her work, her daily routines, and small joys she experienced. She also revisited childhood memories, describing them in vivid detail, hoping to spark recognition and connection. Charlotte, in turn, shared her own life, her achievements, challenges, and the moments of solitude that had shaped her. Each message revealed more of their personalities, more of the person they had become, and more of the bond that had remained despite years apart. Kate was careful not to overwhelm Charlotte. She wanted her sister to feel safe and in control. Some letters were simply about the weather or a book Kate had read. Others were deeper, exploring emotions and memories. Over time, the letters became a bridge, allowing both sisters to express themselves honestly without fear of judgment. Kate learned to listen as much as she spoke, understanding that Charlotte's willingness to share was a sign of growing trust. One evening, Kate received a call that would change everything. Charlotte's voice, familiar yet grown, came through the phone. "Kate," she said softly, "I think I'm ready. I want to see you again in person where we can talk without interruptions." Kate's heart leapt. The moment she had dreamed of was finally arriving. They arranged to meet at a quiet park, a place chosen carefully to ensure privacy and comfort. The day of the meeting, Kate arrived early, her heart racing with anticipation and nervousness. She found a bench near a calm pond, the sunlight reflecting softly on the water. As she waited, memories of their childhood returned vividly, Charlotte's laughter, their secret games, and the quiet evenings they had spent talking about dreams and fears. Kate felt both joy and sorrow, realizing how much they had missed. When Charlotte appeared, Kate noticed the subtle changes time had brought. She was taller, stronger, and carried herself with quiet confidence. Yet her eyes reflected the same warmth and intelligence Kate remembered. For a moment, neither spoke. They simply observed each other, allowing the weight of years to settle between them. Slowly they approached, and their first embrace was gentle, filled with both hesitation and relief. Tears came unbidden, marking the beginning of a long process of emotional healing. They sat on the bench, beginning cautiously with small talk, how the week had been, the beauty of the park, and the sunlight filtering through the trees. But soon the conversation deepened. Kate spoke about her memories of Charlotte as a child, the games they had played, and the little things that had made their bond special. Charlotte listened intently, occasionally nodding, sometimes laughing softly, and other times letting a tear escape. Each word and gesture brought them closer together, bridging years of separation with understanding and love. Charlotte shared her own story. She spoke about the foster families she had lived with, the challenges she faced growing up alone, and the resilience she had developed to survive. Kate listened, her heart heavy with empathy, realizing how much her sister had endured without her support. She felt a deep sense of remorse for the lost years, but also pride in Charlotte's strength and courage. The more Charlotte spoke, the more Kate understood the depth of the sister she had always longed to know. As the afternoon passed, Kate and Charlotte moved from memories to the present. They discussed their hopes for the future, the things they wanted to share, and the small ways they could be part of each other's lives. Kate suggested simple activities, coffee on weekends, walks in the park, and occasional phone calls, ways to build their relationship gradually. Charlotte agreed, expressing her desire to reconnect slowly, ensuring that trust and comfort grew naturally. The sisters also confronted the pain of their separation. They spoke honestly about the years lost, the misunderstandings, and the silence that had grown between them. Kate expressed her sorrow and regret, apologizing for the absence she could not control. Charlotte, in turn, shared her feelings of abandonment and fear, acknowledging that the years apart had been difficult, but that reconnecting with Kate was now a source of hope. The conversation was emotional, filled with tears, laughter, and moments of profound connection. Through these exchanges, Kate began to understand a fundamental truth. Healing was not about erasing the past, but embracing it, learning from it, and using it as a foundation for the future. The sisters' bond, though tested by time and distance, proved resilient. Each conversation, each shared memory, and each act of care strengthened their connection, creating a new chapter in their relationship. Kate also realized the importance of patience. Charlotte's life had been shaped by independence and self-reliance. Forcing her into rapid reconciliation could have been harmful. Instead, Kate chose to be consistent, kind, and understanding. She listened more than she spoke, validated Charlotte's experiences, and allowed her sister to set the pace. Over time, this approach fostered trust, reinforcing the idea that love is most powerful when it respects boundaries and nurtures growth. One day, as they walked together in the park, Kate and Charlotte paused near the pond where they had first met. The sunlight glinted on the water, and the gentle rustle of leaves filled the air. Kate took a deep breath and said, "I've missed so many years with you, Charlotte, but I'm grateful we can start again now. No matter what happened, you are my sister, and I want us to be part of each other's lives." Charlotte smiled softly, her eyes glistening. "I've missed you too, Kate. It's strange, but even though we were apart, I never forgot you. I'm ready to move forward slowly, but together." The sisters embraced once more, this time with a sense of calm, understanding, and hope. They both knew that the journey ahead would have challenges, but they were committed to facing them side by side. Over the following weeks, Kate and Charlotte began spending more time together. They shared meals, visited local events, and even went through old photographs, laughing and reminiscing. Each shared experience strengthened their bond, creating new memories to complement the old. Kate marveled at how seamlessly they could talk, how laughter came naturally, and how the connection between them grew stronger every day. Kate also reflected on how the guard's report had changed everything. What had begun as an anonymous message had transformed into a life-changing revelation. Without it, she might never have discovered Charlotte's location or realized the truth about her sister's past. The report, once a source of anxiety, had become a beacon of hope, guiding her toward the most important relationship of her life. Charlotte, too, found healing in the process. She realized that reconnecting with Kate allowed her to reconcile with her past, to process the loneliness and challenges she had faced, and to embrace the love and support of a sister who had always cared, even from afar. Their bond became a source of strength, a reminder that family can endure distance, hardship, and time. By the end of Part 4, Kate and Charlotte had taken significant steps toward rebuilding their relationship. They had confronted their emotions, shared their stories, and begun creating a future together. The process was not perfect. There were moments of uncertainty, fear, and hesitation, but each step forward reinforced the resilience of their connection. In those quiet moments, Kate often reflected on the power of patience, empathy, and love. She understood that relationships, especially those strained by time and circumstance, require care, understanding, and consistent effort. By approaching Charlotte with respect, kindness, and honesty, she had not only rekindled a bond but also created a foundation for lasting healing and growth. As the sun set over the park, Kate and Charlotte walked side by side, their hands occasionally brushing, a silent affirmation of their renewed connection. The years of separation were behind them, replaced by a shared commitment to nurture their bond, to support each other, and to embrace the journey ahead with hope, courage, and love. After weeks of careful communication and tentative meetings, Kate and Charlotte's bond had begun to grow stronger. Yet both sisters knew that the journey of healing was far from complete. Reconnecting was not just about sharing smiles or memories. It was about understanding, forgiveness, and learning to navigate the complexities of a relationship strained by years of separation. Kate felt a deep responsibility to approach each day with patience and compassion, knowing that Charlotte's experiences had shaped her in ways Kate could not yet fully comprehend. They continued their routine of small meetings, each one building trust and comfort. Kate would visit Charlotte at her apartment, bringing flowers or small gifts, often accompanied by notes expressing her thoughts and emotions. They would cook together, share simple meals, and spend hours talking about life, past, present, and future. These moments, though ordinary in appearance, were extraordinary in meaning. For both sisters, they represented a reclaiming of the years lost, a healing of wounds that had festered quietly for decades. Charlotte began opening up about her life in ways she had never shared with anyone. She spoke about the foster families she had lived with, the friends she had made and lost, and the challenges of living independently from a young age. Kate listened with empathy, never interrupting, always validating her sister's experiences. She could sense the courage it took for Charlotte to speak so openly, and she felt honored to witness her sister's vulnerability. In turn, Charlotte began asking questions about Kate's life, curious to understand the woman her sister had become. One evening, as they sat on the balcony of Charlotte's apartment, the city lights twinkling below, Charlotte said softly, "I never imagined I would see you again like this. I always held on to memories, but I wasn't sure they were real anymore. Being here with you, it feels like coming home." Kate reached for her sister's hand, squeezing it gently. "I feel the same, Charlotte. We may have lost years, but we can't lose each other again. We'll take it one step at a time, together." The sincerity in Kate's voice brought tears to Charlotte's eyes. It was a moment of pure connection, a testament to the enduring power of family bonds. As their relationship grew, Kate and Charlotte began revisiting old photographs, letters, and mementos from their childhood. They laughed over silly pictures, reminisced about games and traditions, and even recreated some of their favorite activities from when they were children. These moments were not just about nostalgia. They were a way to rebuild a shared history, to create new memories that could complement the old ones. Kate realized that these small acts of remembrance were powerful tools of healing, allowing them to reclaim the past while shaping a future together. Over time, the sisters started to share their lives more openly with others. Kate introduced Charlotte to her close friends, who welcomed her warmly and with curiosity. Charlotte, who had spent years building a life largely independent of family ties, found the experience both comforting and overwhelming. Kate understood that it was a lot to process, and she continued to provide support, encouraging Charlotte to take things at her own pace. Through these experiences, Charlotte began to see that family could be a source of joy, safety, and belonging, a reality she had once feared might never be hers. One day, Kate suggested that they work together to document their story. She thought it might help Charlotte process her experiences and give them both a tangible reminder of their journey. They began writing, taking turns narrating memories, feelings, and reflections. The process was cathartic, allowing both sisters to express emotions they had kept bottled up for years. Kate noticed how Charlotte's confidence grew with each writing session, how her voice became stronger, and how her laughter began to fill spaces that had once felt empty. The sisters also discussed the importance of forgiveness, both for themselves and for the circumstances that had separated them. They acknowledged that life had dealt them difficult hands, but they refused to let bitterness take root. Instead, they focused on understanding, empathy, and compassion. Kate reminded Charlotte that their parents had loved them deeply and had done their best in difficult times. Charlotte, in turn, expressed gratitude for the love she was now experiencing through Kate's unwavering care and dedication. As months passed, Kate and Charlotte ventured on small trips together. They visited nearby towns, attended local events, and explored places that held significance for both of them. These shared experiences reinforced their bond, allowing them to create new memories while honoring the old. Kate found joy in seeing Charlotte's curiosity and excitement, witnessing the sister she had once known grow into a woman of resilience and grace. Charlotte, meanwhile, appreciated Kate's patience, kindness, and unwavering support, understanding that this relationship required mutual effort, trust, and care. One afternoon, while walking along a quiet riverbank, Charlotte paused and turned to Kate. "You know, I've thought about what life would have been like if we had stayed together. I used to imagine it, sometimes with sadness, sometimes with hope. But now, I realize that even though we were apart, we can still build something meaningful together." "The past doesn't define us, it guides us." Kate nodded, feeling a deep sense of pride and love. "Exactly. We can't change what happened, but we can decide how we move forward. And I want us to move forward together, every step of the way." The two sisters embraced, the gentle sunlight reflecting on the water, symbolizing the warmth and hope that had returned to their lives. Through their journey, Kate and Charlotte also began reaching out to help others affected by family separations and hidden truths. They shared their story discreetly, offering guidance and hope to individuals who had experienced similar challenges. Their experiences gave them insight and empathy, and they were determined to use their story to make a difference. This purpose brought them closer, reinforcing the bond that had been rekindled and providing a meaningful way to transform their past into something positive. Kate reflected often on how a single report, a simple, anonymous report from a guard, had changed everything. It had been the key that unlocked a past she had long tried to forget and had set in motion a chain of events that led to healing, reconnection, and love. She realized that life's unexpected moments, though sometimes unsettling, could lead to profound growth and transformation if approached with courage, patience, and an open heart. Charlotte, too, reflected on the journey. She recognized that her life had been shaped by both challenges and resilience. Reconnecting with Kate allowed her to reconcile with her past, understand the love that had always existed, and embrace the possibilities of a future filled with family, support, and shared joy. She felt a profound sense of gratitude for Kate's determination and for the chance to rebuild their relationship on a foundation of trust and mutual respect. As the seasons changed, Kate and Charlotte continued to nurture their bond. They celebrated birthdays together, shared holiday traditions, and supported each other through personal and professional challenges. Their relationship was no longer defined by the years lost, but by the commitment they had made to be present, caring, and loving in each moment. The emotional scars of the past gradually healed, replaced by the warmth of connection and the assurance that they were no longer alone. One quiet evening, as they sat together watching the sunset, Kate whispered, "I never imagined our story would have this ending. After everything we went through, it feels like a miracle to have you back in my life." Charlotte smiled, resting her head on Kate's shoulder. "It does feel like a miracle, but it's also proof that love and family can endure anything, even years apart. We may have lost time, but we've gained so much more, understanding, forgiveness, and each other." In that moment, both sisters felt a profound sense of peace. They had confronted the pain of the past, embraced the healing process, and discovered the power of resilience, empathy, and unconditional love. The journey had been long and emotional, but it had also been transformative, creating a future filled with hope, connection, and joy. Kate and Charlotte knew that life would continue to present challenges, but they were no longer afraid to face them together. They had rediscovered the strength of their bond, the importance of patience and understanding, and the beauty of shared experiences. Their relationship, once broken by circumstance, was now stronger than ever, a testament to the enduring power of love, family, and hope. By the end of this chapter in their lives, Kate and Charlotte had not only healed their relationship, but also discovered a deeper sense of purpose. They understood that the journey of reconnection was ongoing, requiring care, communication, and unwavering support. Yet they were confident in their ability to face the future together, knowing that the love between them would guide every step. As night fell and the city lights glimmered, the sisters sat side by side, feeling a quiet sense of fulfillment. They had navigated the complexities of the past, embraced the present, and were now looking forward to a future where they could continue to grow, support, and cherish each other. In the end, the guard's secret report, which had once sparked confusion and anxiety, had led to the most beautiful outcome imaginable: a renewed bond, emotional healing, and the promise of a shared life full of love, understanding, and hope.